Not this time.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Fantasy 420, where today we are going to be doing another mock draft for the 2019 and 2020 fantasy baseball season. We've done mock drafts previously from different draft positions, so today we're going to be doing the 12th pick out of 12 teams, get a nice back-to-back at that final pick spot, which I really like. Just like our previous drafts, I did set the starting pitchers to 4 and the relief pitchers to 0, which is a nice thing you can do on fantasypros.com. It lets you do that for free. And I've mentioned why I'd rather focus on starting pitchers and their categories over relief pitchers for various reasons in the pitching videos. And I also have a lot of other MLB preview videos highlighting every position, and I'll leave a playlist to that at the end, as well as a subscription button. If you'd be kind enough to push that and subscribe, that would be really helpful. But without further ado, let's get started with our mock draft from the 12th position. Obviously, we weren't getting any of those big name guys, and I do have a few names that I like off the start. I believe, take Bryce Harper. I mentioned I like him a lot. He did sign with Philly. He's going to get that ballpark with the walks and the home runs. So I'll just buy into him there, get an outfielder, not have to worry about that. Not a huge fan of DeGrom. So this is really, do I want to buy into Jose Altuve, who was a number 2 pick last year in a ton of leagues, or Manny Machado, who just signed with the Dodgers? I actually think I'm going to take Altuve. If you'd have told people you would have got Altuve at the 13th pick last year, you'd be doing backflips. So I got to love that value, and move on to the third round. I don't really want to miss out on Carrasco, but I do have back-to-back picks, so it wouldn't really be a big deal. Let's go ahead and go with Carrasco. And, I like Hoskins there. Not a huge fan of Rizzo. Correa, Rendon, So, I'm actually going to go big here, and I'm going to take Syndergaard. We'll see if I can. I didn't get one of those aces in the first 2 rounds, but I picked up Carrasco, who's a great pitcher, going to feast in that division, who I've mentioned. Really love those Indians pitchers this year. And if I hit on Syndergaard and he finally knocks out that ace status, I will have some devastating pitching to go along with my 2 hitters. Moving on, I am going to hit the hide drafted players button to make it a little bit easier on myself to see these top names here. I have my boy Marcell Ozuna. I have Tommy Pham providing some nice steals. And I have Xander Bogaerts. Might have a big year for the Red Sox. I've mentioned before, you can also use the draft tool. You can see sort of home runs, RBIs, all the necessary stuff right here. I'm actually going to go ahead. I'll take Xander Bogaerts there. I like him hitting in that Red Sox lineup. Had a good season last year, really young. Expect him to take another step forward. And I am going to go ahead and take Marcell Ozuna. Really like them acquiring Goldschmidt. And if he enters this season healthy, another year in that lineup, I really like his prospects moving forward. So I really like Justin Turner. I've mentioned the Dodgers are going to need a big year out of him. Really good players in this round. I like Donaldson. I've taken him in previous mock drafts. I don't have a third baseman, so I'll probably take one of them. I like Matt Olson. I don't have a first baseman. Age 24, going to hit really high for the A's. In that lineup, I like him a little bit better than Gallo, who's not going to tank your average. I also really like Michael Conforto, although I probably will just take a third baseman. And I really like Olson, So buy into an A here. Like I said, he's going to hit really high in that lineup. Age 24, young guy. They're building around him. Go ahead and take him. And then I think it's between Donaldson and Turner, although I really like Conforto this year in a bounce back, and they signed a lot of people to protect him in that lineup. He'll be able to do whatever he wants with the pitching. They won't be able to pitch around him. I'm going to go ahead and take Donaldson. I just like Atlanta more this year. If Acuna, Albies, him can stay healthy, that should be a really nice pick. Moving on to the next round. I could do Matt Chapman and Olsen. Just do little Bash Brothers back to back. I really like Aaron Hicks, supposedly going to be hitting leadoff this year. I think I'm definitely going to be taking either Zach Wheeler or Luis Castillo. Maybe Luis Castillo could come around to me. I highly doubt it. I do like Wheeler this year. He did have a nice season last year. I guess I'd be watching a lot of New York Mets, especially on the days that they pitch. I also really like Robinson Cano. I could go with him. I think he's going to provide a lot of incentive to do really well in New York this year. So I think it's between either Chapman or Cano. And, you know what, let's go Chapman. I've taken Cano in a lot of leagues. We could do a little Chapman-Olsen combination there. See what works out. Nice. Luis Castillo ended up coming back. That's an automatic pick. Ended up working out there. So I want to take... I've never been a fan of Devers. He's always kind of underwhelmed there. But I think I'm going to take him. Why not? Have a little youngness with Boston in there. Take a little risk. I like my lineup so far. I love my pitching, so I'll take a risk on a young, high upside there with Devers, and I think I'll get some nice players coming back. Big run on catchers there. Kind of a bummer, but at least I can wait a little bit. Punt catcher. My boy Shane Bieber also went. That is unfortunate. I was hoping to target him, but oh well, that sucks. Miguel Cabrera, if I want to take a risk on him. Rich Hill, going to need to pitch really well for the Dodgers this year. Hosmer, I like the signing there. Machado providing a little bit of value. I do like a bounce back here for Machado. Piscotty killed me in the playoffs in a bunch of leagues. I like him. Glasnow, if I want to go pitching. Keuchel, wherever he signs, might be worth the risk. Adam Eaton, I've mentioned I really like him. A lot of players who I really like. I'm actually going to go ahead and take Eric Hosmer there. I do expect a little bit of a bounce back year from him. Machado hitting ahead in the lineup, like I've mentioned. And I would really hate to miss out on Tyler Glasnow. I've mentioned a lot why I expect a good year out of him. Unfortunately, Piscotty went, but Glasnow, a lot of incentive to do well for that team after the Tampa Bay Rays traded for him, kind of dicked him around a little bit in the rotation, never got a set footing in that Tampa Bay franchise, so now I like what he's going to hopefully have going forward with his new team. Let's take a look at catchers here. I do like Wellington Castillo. He's going to hit higher than a lot of catchers do in that order because the White Sox are not a very good team. And he's coming off that steroid suspension, so there's reason to expect him to play with a lot of incentive. I am going to go ahead and take Eaton. I mentioned him last round, and I would really hate to miss out on him. I think he's going to provide a lot of late round steals, and he's going to need to play really well for that lineup, considering the offseason departure of Bryce Harper. And I'm going to go ahead and take Wellington Castillo. I know it says that is a reach there, but I would really hate to miss out on him. Unfortunately, a bunch of pitchers went, but we're right because we're really good at drafting and we're going to find some really good late round pitchers. So, first of which I actually believe being Tyler Skaggs. No Ohtani this year in the rotation. And if he did not come back around, I would be very unfortunately upset. So we will go ahead and take Tyler Skaggs there. Moving on, we have Elvis Andrus, not a bad name. He's going to hit really high for the Rangers, who I don't expect to be really good. So we'll have a lot of possible production coming out of there. I also like DeJong, young guy for St. Louis. Like I mentioned, they got Goldschmidt in another year. So it's basically between one of those two, which one I want to buy into. I'll actually take DeJong. And good year out of him is definitely in the realm of possibility. And Andrus was dealing with injuries a lot last year. So I think I might be down for a little buy into some stock of Mr. DeJong. I might actually take these two names some back-to-back action. Joe Musgrove, young guy for Pittsburgh. Another season under his belt. That ERA is pretty good. Hopefully that if he could get a K to innings pitched little boost there, that might be a worthwhile pick. So let's go ahead and take Musgrove. And then Godley obviously had a little bit of a rough year after a really good 2017, but that K is still there. So hopefully if that ERA can bounce back a little bit, we might be getting ourselves a decent late round buy-in there. I'm actually going to go ahead and take Franmil Reyes, one of the hottest young prospects. Hopefully by the end of the year, he might be boosting in that lineup. They might be moving forward. I expect a definite call-up for him at some point this year. And let's take a look at what we got on our pitchers. Jimmy Nelson, not a bad name. Matz. I've also mentioned Waka, who I've liked. Taryn, for various reasons. So like I've always said, they're just names who you're going to like. Velasquez. I would just use these rounds to go ahead and buy in on some pitchers that you like for this year. I'll go ahead and take Waka, who I've mentioned that I like. And this is the part of the year where I've also mentioned that I would keep my ear low to the ground. These guys at the end of drafts, especially in fantasy baseball, are a little expendable. You can watch the games, play depending on who's doing well, make those pickups based on that. You're not really set in stone in your fantasy baseball early game team, so keep that in mind for especially the start of the year. I'll take Vince Velasquez. I've mentioned why I really like him. He's young. Philadelphia is on the rise. And then I'll take Pineda, who I think is going to be needed for Minnesota to do really well. I've kind of mentioned that those are my late round guys. And that's what Fantasy Pros thinks of my draft. I would have wished to do a little bit better on the catcher. I think that slipped behind. But I would just keep my ears low to the ground. I really like those two stud starters and those top end guys at the start of the order who I got. And I think I would be able to do really well with this team in free agency, and I'd be able to build a really nice roster. With that being said, guys, I really appreciate you peeping the video. Like I said, I will have a playlist at the end, and take it easy, guys. Have a great day.